What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Unsolicited Takes, the takes you never asked for. My name is Cameron, and I'm here with Julian
Hey, what's going on?
and Keegan.
What's up?
First things first, some introductions need to be made. I am obviously Cameron. I've been watching sports since I was able to comprehend what they are, and I support the Houston Texans along with the New Orleans Pelicans, sadly. And also a little bit of LSU college sports here and there as we go. How about you, Keegan?
Been playing sports whenever I was growing up, then watching sports as I've gotten older. I'm a Steelers fan, like my father before me. Unfortunate this season. New Orleans Pelicans basketball, also another unfortunate fandom. And then, same as you, LSU college football.
And what we got going on over there, Julian? What are we supporting?
Yeah, been a sports follower for a good amount of years now. For the NFL, more recently since about the 2023 season, been a Los Angeles Chargers fan. Um, and as far as the NBA goes, been a OKC Thunder fan since the Dream Team back in early 2010s. And then more recently with college, don't necessarily have a team to necessarily like super follow, like TCU, because I got some ties. But outside of that, college football is more so something I've recently got into. So, but avid sports fan all around.
All right. This podcast is pretty much just going to be normal conversation that the three of us would have anyway. But instead of just talking about it in Discord, we're going to be recording it and putting it out for others to join in with us. And we're glad that you're all here to witness the beginning of Unsolicited Takes, the takes that you never asked for.
I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped.
I'm pretty excited. Good to finally put the thoughts on paper.
And first, we're just going to kind of talk about in real time, the Super Bowl just happened 3 days ago, 2 days ago, actually. Um, the Seattle Seahawks have gotten their revenge back on the Patriots. It was a defensive matchup.
Amen.
Not too many explosive offensive plays.
Respect Kenny Walker.
We did have a running back win the Super Bowl MVP. I think me and Keegan live voted a combined 40 times for Kenneth Walker to win
It was up there.
the Super Bowl MVP. And I don't think it could have been anybody else because the game was pretty hard to watch outside of that. But the real point of the Super Bowl is that the season ends. But before we get to the end of it and start thinking about next year, we're just gonna kind of look back on what the season was full of. I guess it was one of the weaker playoff fields in recent history. I think if you would have put either of these Super Bowl teams in the playoffs a couple years ago, they might have not made it to the conference championship. But what do you guys think? What did you think of the Super Bowl and the playoffs and the season that just happened?
I mean,
I got to.
you can go ahead.
This year's wild card weekend might be the greatest wild card weekend of all time. And that is like no exaggeration. We had what, 4 of the 6 games be one score decider games? The fact that Carolina almost upset what many people thought was the NFC favorite LA Rams in the wild card round. I mean, I personally can't remember a better wild card weekend than this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, what a lot of people online have been calling the real Super Bowl of the season between Seattle and the Rams.
Mhm.
the Rams in that game were nearly taken down in Wild Card Weekend, like you said, by the Panthers, which is insane considering the season that the Panthers had. Just a very scrappy overall team. But playoffs in general, a lot of back and forth. Less so on the AFC side. I'm all for weather when it comes to football, but it did seem like a lot of the games on the AFC side of things were determined slash weather had a big part to play in them, and then on the NFC side of things, just a lot of good games all around in the playoffs overall.
Yeah, I agree. As a Texans fan, watching us play the Patriots in Foxborough, we really had no chance to compete. And I'm not just backing up my quarterback who also prefers to play in dome stadiums. I think at some point it is going to come to the point where the NFL is too big of a league with too much money on the line to let games be decided by a cold front that turns into sleet, that turns into no points on the board. And
See, man, I don't think that the NFL is going to make a push to have people or have teams play in domes for playoff games. I think I think the weather and like where teams are located is a part of what make the playoffs. Like if you don't want to go up to New England in January, you win more games and get a higher seed, you know.
Yeah,
yeah, but at the same time, you're if you want the Super Bowl hosting and if you want to be relevant that way, you're gonna have to get the dome anyway. And then at the same time, it's they think it helps because like you get adapted to living in cold weather, but realistically, most of these guys didn't even live in cold weather places. It's not in their blood to like the cold. Like you see, it was Smitty a couple years ago when he was freezing on the sideline, saying he couldn't feel his hands. He was from Louisiana and he lived in Philly for multiple years where it gets pretty cold, but it
But he's
doesn't even
also built
matter.
like a stick, so I mean,
Well, listen, man, so am I, but that is no excuse. And I'm saying there is to be a better football product for the people who love football and the people who are casually watching if there's more points on the board, and that happens with less weather effects.
I mean, I'm all for a defensive battle, and on a personal level, I think that weather. I kind of agree with Keegan. I think that weather will always kind of be a part of football. When it comes to the Super Bowl, I'm fairly certain that it's already been said to all teams who are, looking to potentially host the Super Bowl at some point or another that they're basically only looking for, dome stadiums. I think that's a different ordeal all around. I mean, Levi's Stadium, where the Super Bowl was just played, is obviously an open stadium, but we're also talking about San Francisco, California. We're
Yeah,
not going to
maybe
see.
that can be the difference is that if you're not gonna do it in a dome, then it's got to be in California, so it never rains and it never snows. And
Right. Yeah.
a
I mean,
big
in
dome
Tampa Bay a few
situation.
years ago, I think you're going to get the better weather states can remain open. We're not going to see another Super Bowl ever hosted in Foxborough. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. But who did y'all have as your best team of this past season?
I mean,
Best overall, most put together. Maybe they didn't win the Super Bowl, but who's in your mind the best team, start to finish?
I I think all three phases of the game, top to bottom, I think I give the slight edge to Seattle. I think very close to them though are the Rams. The Rams offense was elite this year. The Rams defense was elite this year. But we saw it in the Super Bowl. Seattle's special teams, uh, Michael Dixon was able to put the Patriots inside the 10-yard line on well over a majority of the punts that he punted that game. Not just for that reason, I think Seattle's offense is good, just not quite the same level that the Rams are. But I think all three phases of the game, I think Seattle is definitively the best team this year.
Yeah, I would agree. Uh, I actually have here in my notes the pretty much the same exact thing, top to bottom, all around. Just a well-built team. I mean, you can argue that you put this team up against like, a lot of other Super Bowl teams just, from the past 10 years. Maybe they don't. I mean, they probably definitely don't have as easy of a win against them, but I think they're definitely in the game against any of them. I mean, the defense all season long, just top to bottom, one of the best that we've seen in a long time. Um, and as far as the offense goes, I, Kenny Walker, especially towards the end of the season after Charbonnet got injured, I think we really got to see who he is, which, some of us have known for a long time who he is, but for the broader public, with Charbonnet, them doing a dual backfield may not have gotten to see. And then, of course, everybody has seen the comeback story of Darnold this year and getting to show out for, Jackson Smith and Jigba now that um, wide receiver one in Seattle was given to him after last offseason, um, DK leaving and everything. So I think a lot of people expected this team to come into this year and not really know what to expect. Probably not a Super Bowl winner. And I think just over the Rams, the losses the Seahawks had versus the losses that the Rams had, I think I just have to give the edge to the Seahawks this year.
I was just gonna go with the cop out answer of the NFC Championship. One of those teams is
Yeah.
the best team, but yeah, it probably is Seattle, just due to the fact that like the Rams' only like main off season need is special teams, which is like kind of pathetic that you can be that high of a caliber team and just have dog shit on the special teams. But yeah, I definitely like their offense more than Seattle's. Even like, I mean, Seattle's got JSN, but the Rams have Puka, and then Kenneth Walker's good, but he hasn't been like consistently great. So it's like the Rams. I mean, it's not like they have the Rams beat at that either. And yeah, definitely the defense. So really, all it comes down to is special teams, which is sad to say, but that's how it is sometimes. Who would you guys have as the worst? Just the worst performing, maybe worst run, just a complete dumpster fire of a team.
Unbiased opinion, and I'm not just saying this because they beat us second to last week of the regular season. I truly believe that Cleveland, their future is not looking great at all. I don't like the monkey hire. I don't like Shador as your quarterback. Miles Garrett is likely now more than ever to be traded. So your defense is going to be taking a massive hit. I Your offensive line is bad, your receivers are bad. Quinshon Judkins broke his ankle in the last 3 weeks of the regular season. Dylan Sampson is a good backup, but I mean, even still, it's not looking good for them, in my opinion.
I mean, I just I'm inclined to agree. I've got a bit of a four-way tie. But I mean, as far as the Browns go, they're one of them. And honestly, probably the front runner. Depoy, uh, defensive rookie of the year. You've got at one point on the year you had multiple Pro Bowlers on the roster. Your coach this year was a two-time coach of the year, and you still had the season that you did. And at the end of the day, that's bad football. That's unacceptable. You've got a talent like Miles Garrett on the defense. You know, uh, you just can't put it together. It's bigger bigger than just the players on the field. It goes all the way through.
And they
Ownership.
still employ Deshaun Watson, who they owe a fuck ton of money to.
Yeah,
Well,
even
going
if
listen,
you
into the
cut him.
season the highest paid quarterback still.
I have some defense for the Browns before I give my answer or before you give the three other people that tied with the Browns for you, Julian.
Yeah, go ahead.
But Munkin might have not been the best on the table, right? But
Don't.
he's not the worst on the
No.
table either. All right. It could have been worse. It could always be worse. It could be Matt Nagy. He's just not a leader of men, you know? Could have been something like that. And for the viewers out there, that may be few right now, but will soon be many. I am the based one who does believe in Shadur Sanders to save this team from the mud. And also, I think Munkin takes the job because of Miles Garrett. So even though realistically a normal team probably would trade a player like Miles Garrett and get the biggest return, I think he's just going to stay there. Because Munkin said his job is to let the defense kind of rock and to build up the offense. And
But
so I think that's
Munkin
probably
taking
what
the
he's going to do.
job made Schwartz leave, their defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's their defensive coordinator, but I mean, you still have the pieces. You can get a guy that runs a similar scheme, and it'll work out. I mean, they might drop a little bit in like production, but they'll
Dropped a
still have
little
the
bit.
talent.
They won 3 fucking games this year.
Did they win three?
3
Yeah,
games.
3.
Okay, well, I thought they won like 4 or 5, but even still, like, I mean, they played Dylan Gabriel way too long. Like, I'm not saying that Shadur would have gotten them a crazy record or anything, but you put Dylan Gabriel in there for way too long. Just like that's the worst thing they did all season, and
Oh
I
no,
don't
I'm
think they're
sorry.
gonna make that
Browns
mistake again.
Browns did win 5 games this year.
Yeah, 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 okay, come on, put some, and they beat some good teams. They beat the Packers.
Don't say put some
They
respect
beat
on
y'all.
him, bro.
Listen, they're not. My answer for the worst team is the New York Jets because they had talent at spots and they were completely unwatchable. Just the like by far I test the worst team in football. Didn't get an interception all season, couldn't create any turnovers, and then they traded their two best defensive players as if they were the problem with everything. And I mean, they did get good returns, which is like probably what the Browns should be doing with Miles Garrett. But I think, like, even with the returns they got back, it's just like they would have to hit on pretty much all the draft picks they've gotten and then wait for those players to develop into good pros to actually have it be worth something. And at this point, they've been in the drain all of our lifetimes, almost like all of our lifetimes combined at this point.
Yeah.
We're like, it's just getting to a point where it's like the team needs to be sold, for sale, something. It's just not working, and they have like good players on offense still, and the offense is just terrible. So I don't know.
I
Free
mean,
Garrett Wilson, free Brees Hall. Brees Hall, don't go somewhere else. You're a free agent. Just go somewhere else.
there's so the other team, another team of what I would consider the bottom of the barrel for this year, the Jets are one of them. And there's not really much more to say other than just top to bottom ass. Like you said, just amateur football being played. Um, I didn't I didn't hate the Aaron Glenn hire whenever it happened, but it also didn't move me in any sort of direction. And to be honest, after the season, I didn't see any sort of leadership out of the guy. And I'm hoping since they're hanging on to them, for at least another season, half season, what have you, um, that comes out at some point. They've got 3 first round draft picks. Hopefully he can make the team his own and try to build an identity. But, right now that team just has absolutely no identity. And I think it, just a failure all around on the season. Speaking of Miles Garrett and a team likely to lose their defensive star that's held down the fort for the better half of a decade at this point. Um, Looking at also the Raiders on the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were really just help. I mean, Geno Smith said he didn't know what plays were being called for the first like 8 games of the season. So I feel like that's more like not a talent or even maybe like a overall structure problem. You just had Pete Carroll trying to do his thing with a new team in the first year, and then you had a play caller that didn't know what he was doing. So that's pretty bad. But like the Raiders draft Mendoza, sign a receiver, and I mean keep Max Crosby, which seems unlikely at this point, but
I
you
mean, you
do
would
all those
hope.
things.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the interview today. Kubiak was talking about how he's had lunch, I guess, already with Crosby, and he said he's hopeful, that they can continue trying to make something work.
I think it would be smart for the Raiders to move off of Max, not because Max is a bad player by any means. They just need so much more, and trading Max Crosby can get you the assets to plug all of these holes that they have.
I don't know who their GM is. They they got a new one recently, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay. Well then yeah. I would say trade Max and just try to draft guys that can become star players because I was scared of the Tyree Wilson pick, but I mean that was so long ago at this point that I
It
think
doesn't even
that's
matter.
yeah,
yeah.
that's not.
Uh,
He might not even be on the team next year. I don't think he is.
John Spytek joined the Raiders January 2025. So he's
That's
been there for a year.
isn't he the old Chargers guy?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, eh, new head coach. It's exciting. He's not
I think
100
it's a
years
great
old.
hire, if I'm being honest. I
Oh,
think
I would agree.
he was a top three candidate this
I
offseason.
think
If I
everybody was just thirsty to get a coach in the building, and the Raiders just got to pick up what was left behind, which happened to be like the top option or one of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not 100-year-old Pete Carroll. Respect to the guy. I just the hire at the time didn't make sense, and after the season, I think everyone sees now that it never made sense and was never going to make sense. So, like you said, they get Mendoza probably. Kubiak, I think, is as of right now showing that he's keeping his options open as far as the first draft pick goes. More than likely, I think they'd be dumb not to take him. So, love the kid. Probably got a bright future ahead of him. A lot of offensive weapons on that team. Another bottom of the barrel for the last one here that I want to bring up is the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, they're kind of the same as the Raiders to me. Like these teams that actually I can see a future for. I can't say they were the worst team to watch. Like the Browns and the Jets, I could see how those are very bleak futures to try to pan out. Like the Titans get the right coach in there, hit on like a couple draft picks, then they'll be all right too.
I mean, I think they've got a bright future ahead of them. Just in terms of games that I watched this year, you got a scrap time win against the Chiefs. No Patrick Mahomes into the season. Playoff hopes not even in the picture at that point. And then immediately after, I think another win against I think the Raiders the week after potentially. So another bottom team. I just nothing. I mean, Cam Ward. Don't get me wrong. I think had showed flashes this year. Kind of hard to show much more than just flashes. Whenever no, absolutely no offensive weapons, an offensive line that is tissue paper. But I think you're right. I mean, I think they've got a future. Just in terms of what I saw this season, just not good.
Yeah.
I think their biggest priority, either free agent or draft or trade for somebody, you got to get Cam somebody to throw the ball to.
Oh man, he's got Chamir Dike and Xavier Restrepo and the Stanford
I think
one
you
that I'm not
just
gonna try to say his name.
you just hit the nail on the head. I think.
And we also want to give a big shout out to some retirements from this year. Some people very notable from our childhood. We had Tyrann Mathieu,
Honey
right?
Badger, LSU legend.
Goat.
Pat Pete,
Goat.
My
Optimus
favorite
Prime.
player, or one of my favorite players.
Ndamukong Suh. Not a favorite of a lot of people. I enjoyed the dog that Ndamukong Suh had.
Skull legend.
Julio Jones. I mean, what can you even say?
One
Jimmy
of the
Graham.
Top. Controversial. Julio Jones, top 3 receiver of all time in my book.
I mean, if you're going off eye tests, that's not crazy to say.
I think
yeah,
it's a little crazy. I mean,
Whoa, I mean, come on.
yeah, Jerry
7-time Pro
Rice.
Bowler, 5-time All Pro, 2 first-team All Pros, 3 second teams,
The,
13-year career.
call me crazy. Now, this guy doesn't have the insane peak as Julio did. Well, I won't say insane peak, but the as long of a peak. AB's up there, man.
I
I don't know.
mean, again, if we're going off of just like eye test talent, both those guys would probably be like locks for top 10, but definitely like top 5 area. I would probably plead the fifth. Probably what I'd do in that
Probably the
situation.
best, actually.
I just think like you're walking highlight reel. You're looking at Julio Jones. I mean, just unbelievable
come on.
awareness.
Let's just end it there because now I'm about to start arguing for AB's side of things. I don't even care about the guy like that. He got open, man. Let's just say that about Antonio Brown.
Now, Jimmy Graham, that's a guy I got to see a lot of being from Louisiana. He is up there for tight ends of all time.
Yeah, I mean he's a top 5 all time to me. Don't even got to look it up. There's not that many that could be better than him.
Who else we got on the retirees?
Those were the notable ones. If we want to get to some like irky kind of ones,
I
we
did
got
see
Jordan
that
Travis.
Havenstein for the Rams retired today. He was
Really?
the last St. Louis Rams player to play for them.
It's kind of crazy.
Got
that
aura.
exists.
That is kind of crazy that exists.
Yeah, I mean, Nate Herbig retired.
Nick Herbig, shout out his brother.
Yeah. Let's see. There's probably some. Oh, Teron Armstead, another Louisiana legend.
Arkansas Pine Bluff legend.
Derek Carr, but who knows? He might come back, and I don't think anybody's.
Dude, I
ruling
saw
him.
something. I saw something crazy that his offensive coordinator, while he was with the Raiders, is now the Jets passing game coordinator. So people were saying that the Jets should go out and sign Derek Carr to be their quarterback.
That would be criminal.
I remember a Derek Carr play against the Jets. I think it was like a seam or something. It was like up the middle of the field to Henry Ruggs. I think it was a go-ahead touchdown. Shout out Henry Ruggs.
Love that game.
Latavius Murray.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think we're good
kidding.
on retirements. I think retirements are pretty good. We had the Hall of Fame. We had Breezes get in there. You know, it's our guy. Larry Fitz.
Greatest quarterback of all time.
Who else got in there?
Roger Craig, Adam
Roger
Vinatieri,
Craig,
Luke
of
Kuechly.
course. Yep.
Luke Kuechly, one of my goats. Shout out.
Vinatieri. I remember that's probably the first kicker I ever heard about. Honestly, I don't remember where or how, but I feel like that's got to be one of the first ones. And then
Him and McAfee.
Morstead was probably the first punter. But did you guys have a favorite moment from the season? Any like meme or controversial or?
I mean,
think about this one.
Anything involving DK Metcalf.
This was the season that Jalen Carter spit in Dak's face game 1.
That was to open up the season.
Yep.
Had a little spitting match to kick off the season.
Yeah, a little spit in
And
my
then
mouth action.
Jamar got in on that as well.
Yep. And he said, "No, I didn't spit." Oh, 4K says otherwise.
Traylon Burks one-handed catch that's up
That
there.
Oh
that
yeah.
had me believing he was back. He was a first round draft pick.
And then that was pretty much it for him for the rest of the season. Quiet rest of the season after that.
A lot of international games. I don't know if it was the
Too
most
many.
ever or what, but I
Too,
remember there was a very long stretch of them every week.
there's going to
Yeah,
be
one of
even
them
more.
was a Jets game against was it the Titans?
You have to imagine that was probably the least watched game of the season.
Yeah, I can't
Viewership
believe we
wise.
sent them over. That was
Um,
not good.
which team that underperformed this year to like an under 500 record? Who would you guys bet to for sure make the playoffs next year? And if you want me to name some that are like hopeful, maybe the
The
Dolphins. There were 7 wins. Cowboys 7 wins. Commanders 5 wins.
mm,
We got the Ravens. They were right under 500. The Bengals had 6 wins.
I mean, Bengals and Ravens are top candidates. I think every year. Um, I think both of them. I know there's been some, conversation lately that, oh, the Bengals, they've been to the Super Bowl. What have they done since then? Um, I think when Joe Burrow is healthy, they're a playoff team every year. But that's, the if. As of the last few years, the Ravens new head coach coming in after Harbaugh had what 18 seasons as head coach.
Yep.
Something like that.
So I mean, exciting stuff over there. Lamar is still Lamarvelous. So I think the
Mr.
two of
Jackson.
them top candidates as always. The Commanders, it's I think going to take a lot this season. If I'm not mistaken, they were one of the oldest teams in the NFL, if not the oldest.
Yeah,
Still,
I believe that.
um, so I think they've got a lot of work to put in this offseason to bring some youth to the team. But Jaden gets healthy next year, and I think that they can make another run at the playoffs for next year.
I know they didn't go under 500, but they were one game above 500. I think this Lions team, they kind of felt the repercussions of them losing a lot of key guys this season. I think they're going to draft well because in recent years they have been drafting well. I think that they could be at the top of the NFC North again for next season.
That's what I was saying when I was saying the playoff picture was just kind of weak because like the Lions not being in there is crazy considering you think like who like you just look at the roster who are like the top 5 teams in the league. The Lions are probably in there, probably like in fifth, fourth, but they're still probably in there. They have like so many stars on both sides of the ball. Jared Goff's usually good at like managing the game, not letting it like get out of hand, and so yeah, they'd probably go up like to being like a 1 seed, 2 seed contender next year after being fourth in the division this year.
Because, I mean, the entire NFC North, Bears won 11 games, Green Bay won 9 games, lost 7, and tied. So if they lost to Dallas for that tie, they're sitting at 8 and 9, not even in the playoffs. So, and then Minnesota 9 and 8, Detroit 9 and 8. So I think their division is very much winnable for next season by a
Yeah,
good margin.
Gonna be kind of how the Bears swing, I think. Do they build off of the season with Ben Johnson? I think it's definitely possible. Um, But I definitely think the Lions, given the right offseason, can definitely rebound, win the NFC North next year for sure.
Here's my long shot. Don't sleep on New Orleans, man.
I was looking at him, 6 wins, man,
I
and Kellen Moore, man, he was not a coach of the year candidate. I don't think he wasn't probably very close, but he is one of my coach of the year honorable mentions because that team has been trash, dumpster fire for many years now. Cap space negative 60 million, restructures every year, and Kellen Moore got him 6 wins in one of the most least talented rosters that the team's had in the last couple of years. Even though they've been terrible, this is like one of the least talented teams, young teams, uh, young for them, and he pulled out 6 wins, man. I mean, he
One of the
scared some
least,
teams.
yeah, I mean, one of the least talented in general, just across the league.
I think if this team adds either a Carnell Tate or a Jeremiah Love, this offense is going to be humming. I think it would be an amazing offense if they can get one of those two players.
And you send old Rattler to the Colts
Terrible.
because the
No, man.
Colts need a quarterback.
You let AR5 rock it out.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know who you're ever pawning Spencer Rattler off to. I think that's gonna have to wait out his contract on that one.
And I will say, I thought the Shuck pick at the time did not make any sense. I was like, might as well rock with Rattler, use that pick on another position on your roster that can help you now. Just let Rattler go out there, do his thing, and you be terrible this year. And granted, the Saints only won 6 games, but with what Chuck showed you, I mean, I think anything is possible for them next year.
Man, it's the NFL. It's hard to win in this league.
I mean, I think a potentially large part of Shuck's performance this year is that he did come into it with little to no expectations. Kind of playing, you know, very free, fast, and loose. I think the real kind of test that we're going to see is going to be next year in his sophomore season. I mean, they talk about the sophomore slump, and I mean, it's a pattern, so definitely something to watch out for. But I was impressed by what I saw this season, so um, I think he's definitely got a potential future as long as Kellen Moore can, keep building off of it and push them into next season.
I mean, he will get an extension when he's like 27, I mean 28. But
Now,
that was their decision. They made that when they picked him.
I want to flip this question for a team who was good to great. They were in the playoffs, or 9-8 and just missed the playoffs. That has the potential to be worse next year. I don't know how you don't answer anybody other than the Indianapolis Colts. You trade your two
Yeah.
future first round picks for Sauce Gardner, who only appears in a handful of games, and you lose all of them. That
Yeah.
is not, and I understand Daniel Jones, had the leg injury, tried to play through it, tore his Achilles. I get all that. But you don't mortgage your future for one player.
I've kind of got what would be somewhat of a hot take for this scenario, I guess, and it would be that I know the Niners overachieved this year, being very injured. I think with the people that were healthy at the end, and even the people that would be coming back next year, I think they're like the window of the construction of team they have right now is coming to a close. And I know in like the Shanahan era, it might be scary to think of like time to rebuild because you might lose Shanahan either as like the scapegoat, which would be hard to do because he's who he is, but you would hope to just keep him and be able to actually like retool the whole roster, but he might leave and go try to win somewhere else. This team's been just like, I don't know. They keep on saying they have bad injury luck, but at the same time, they've had the same like main core of players for a while.
If they
And they
just move
traded
away from
Debo.
that fucking electrical substation, man, all these
Yeah,
problems would go away.
yeah. I mean, I think that has real validity at this point. I don't think that's like even a question. But like Kittle's old. Even when he comes back, come on, like tires are
Love the
falling
guy.
off. CMC, I mean, he just made first team All Pro, so there's no like sign that he's slowing down. But at the same time, he's had injury problems and he's getting older too, and he plays running back. Purdy's not like an elevator; he's like a game manager, so he's never gonna be able to give like take a shit roster and make it look good. And then you got Ricky Pearsall, who's bad. Ayuk, who doesn't play for the team, and then a bunch of guys who you've made good, like look good, but like they're overperforming too. They wouldn't be able to do this on most teams in the league. So I think yeah, the Niners are due for a reset at some point in like the next couple years.
I think they're a well coached team. But I mean, good coaching only gets you so far. Eventually that's all going to fall apart. And I think the cracks have been showing for the last couple of years now. So I agree. I think next year it's going to go one of two ways. Either they, everyone's healthy, they make a run into the playoffs, prove us all wrong, or it's going to be a complete disaster. We're talking about maybe 4 wins.
I think
Um,
regardless of what happens with them, though, there is no way in hell that they get rid of Kyle Shanahan. That man is the entire reason why this season was as good as it was. Period.
you would hope so, but I mean, then it kind of brings into the question of like, I know they're winning playoff games, so it's a little bit different of a situation, but it's like it's kind of like a Tomlin situation at some point where it's like you can keep making it to the playoffs. In Shanahan's case, he's winning games. Tomlin, last 10 years didn't win a single one.
Tomlin also had Big Ben. I just want to throw that in there real quick. Tomlin had Big Ben for a while and
But
still
I
beat
mean,
him.
like, eventually does it get to a point where there does have to be a scapegoat with Shanahan? I don't think so. I think that I think they've got to keep him around even through a rebuild. He's a fantastic head coach. Got good lineage. You
That
know,
might be the problem, though. He might you when you're trying to rebuild, he might keep winning you 7 games, 6 games, and getting you the 12th pick, and
It
then
could be worse, Ben. Could be winning at least 8 games every year, getting to anywhere from a 15 to 22nd pick.
yeah, well, at least you have a trophy room
And
that is full enough to compete with every other team in the league.
I will end this on teams that were in the playoffs are above 500 and will be shit next year. The Steelers are not winning more than 8 games this season coming up,
We
and
should actually
I am okay with that.
we should actually get out of the way teams that we don't like, so that the people watching can hear who we don't like, and instead of clicking off because we don't support their team, they might keep watching because they just like they love having a hater for their team. So I'll go first. I was raised to hate the Dallas Cowboys. I'm a Texans fan, but really that doesn't have much to do with why I don't like the Cowboys. It's not like I'm trying to compete with like the other city. I just hate everything about the Dallas Cowboys, top to bottom. I find a couple players here and there every few years that I'm like, okay, he's cool, like C.D. Lamb and now Pickens, but yeah, I generally hate them. And being in the AFC South, I usually don't like Jaguars fans on Twitter. And Titans and Colts, they're all right. I would say mostly just like I don't even hate the Jaguars. I just hate mostly their fan base. And then the Chiefs. There's like a reason to hate the Chiefs, but I don't. I feel like I don't have it in my heart as much as I do for like the Cowboys or the Jaguars fandom. Do you guys have any ops?
So Baltimore, being a Steelers fan, Baltimore is obviously my my bitter rival. I never want to see them do good. I never want any player on their team to ever win any significant award, which has been, hell for me these last couple of years. But outside of them, Philly, I can't fucking stand Philadelphia, man. It's just you have Jalen Hurts, who's a below average quarterback, but you go on Twitter and these Philly fans would swear on everything that he's the next coming of Jesus. And then you got people defending Nick Sirianni whenever he's the worst rah rah head coach in the NFL. The only good thing about their team I like is Devontae Smith because he's from Louisiana, right down the street. But Philly and then Dallas, obviously, I don't think you could be a fan of any other football team and not hate the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, just off the rip, the Cowboys. I think it's just in me from, you know, it's in
Pause.
my blood. No pause. No, I think it's inherent. Yeah, just that whole team, top to bottom. I don't know if it's Jerry Jones. I don't know if it's the history. I don't know if it's the players, the historically, just the branding itself. As a Dallas native, I hear about it all the time. But yeah, no, terrible team, terrible franchise, terrible ownership, terrible fans. Honestly,
But I don't think you want to say Dallas native. Aren't you like a Dallas
You're a Dallas
local
citizen.
citizen?
citizen
Yeah.
of the city.
Because I think it would be hard to find a Dallas native that hates the Cowboys, but
I guess it's
he's
fair.
he's living in enemy territory, is what
Yeah,
he's saying.
we'll put it that way. Um, as a Chargers fan, the Chiefs are the number one op. Um, you know, I think that's pretty self-explanatory for most NFL fans, but especially as a division rival. It comes with the territory, comes with winning. You make enemies. And
I don't even think they call y'all rivals, little bro.
all right. Well, I wasn't asking. Um,
Oh, this year they did.
yeah, this
They
year they
went
got
one
their
and
cheeks
five
waxed.
in the AFC West this year,
That's bad.
Yeah, that's
and
terrible. We
I'm
went
actually
5 and
going to
1.
use them to segue. Do you guys think that okay, this is not meant to be the main point. I'm using this as a very hypothetical to get us into the segue. But Malik Willis signs a 1 year deal with the Chiefs, and he's in the Bieniemy system, and he stat pads for a year while Mahomes is resting, and then he gets paid a mega bag. Or do you think Malik Willis is just gonna go get his bag for a QB needy team? Which segues us into off-season needs and desires for most teams in the NFL. Not every team. There's not a guarantee we'll get to every team here. Some teams are kind of irrelevant as far as the offseason goes because they don't have cap space or they don't have picks, which we might touch on if the situation is bad enough. But yeah, you guys think Malik Willis would do that? Think he'd hedge a
I th-
season on that?
I think Mahomes is supposed to be back by like week 3.
Yeah, they're giving him the special,
No,
the
you can't
special
believe that, man.
keys.
That's propaganda. That's
No, it's not,
big
man.
Goodell.
Goodell is
You never
coming
want to
down
believe that.
to smooch Mahomes on his ACL daily until it's repaired, man.
Alright, and so you think that Malik Willis is going to get a mega bag, or do you think nobody wants Malik Willis?
No, I think Malik Willis has a good shot of leading someone like the Dolphins or the Steelers this upcoming season.
I think with the Dolphins, hiring Packers head coach, hiring Packers personnel to be their new GM, I just think that the writing is on the wall that Malik Willis will be a Dolphin. Now, I wouldn't be opposed to the Steelers trying to go after for Malik Willis, but if you're Malik, what's the draw to Pittsburgh?
DK Metcalf.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's about it. So
Um, yeah, I think he probably just takes whatever the biggest offer is, which I could see the Dolphins. I don't know if the Dolphins have money like that. Let's
I
see.
could tell you right now.
Dolphins.
Probably have. Well, most of their money's probably tied up to Tua right now.
That's what I'm saying. Tua and
You and
Tyreek.
Tyreek.
Tyreek is still
Yeah.
on the team. Still
It's kind of crazy because those are both candidates to be cut, and they're your two highest paid players.
There are
yeah,
two candidates to be cut and two candidates that did not play the second half of the season.
yeah, that is not good. The Dolphins are tied. There's a three-way tie for 21st in overall just off-season capital with cap space and draft assets.
Yeah, not great.
They're 21st, and you see the other teams around them, and it's successful type of teams like Philly and the Lions and the Broncos and even the Colts. Cowboys have a pretty good roster. And then you got the Dolphins sandwiched in there. And whenever you're surrounded by good teams, but you're a bad team, you're doing something very wrong.
Yeah,
It doesn't
like
mean you're one of the good teams. It means you're doing something really bad here.
you're tying your money into Tua is the
I,
bad thing,
I
the
think
really bad
that's
thing.
I think that's the Dolphins are kind of like a preview of what could potentially happen with the 49ers here in a couple of years if they're not careful. Because I mean that's just it's all they had really successful seasons a couple of years ago, early 2020s, um, fantastic offense and a couple playoff appearances, but you hold on to things that aren't working long enough and you pay the wrong people and all of a sudden uh, and you don't hop into a rebuild when you're supposed to, this is the situation that you put yourself in.
Yeah. Tyreek is also turning 32 this season.
That's bad.
Yeah, not great for a receiver whose appeal is speed.
Yeah. You guys have a team that you're expecting to do big things, whether it's like doing something crazy in the draft that's going to shift them around, or they're going to spend a lot of money.
I will say the Rams owning Atlanta's first round pick in this draft. Now, granted, it's a good draft. It's not like next year's draft class is going to be one of the best of our lifetimes. This draft, not so much. But them just owning two first round picks this year, we know the Rams' philosophy. Fuck the picks. I mean, do you trade two first round picks to go out and get a bona fide, tackle to replace Havenstein? Do you go out and get a bona fide cornerback like we saw the Colts do whenever they went and got Sauce Gardner and traded two first round picks? I mean, the Rams can really do a whole. They can even, they want to get really crazy. You take Ty Simpson with one of those picks. I'm not advocating for that,
You want to get that crazy, you might as well sell the team. I mean, what are you
but
doing?
Stafford is not getting any younger. Do you look for a replacement since you already have the pick?
Man,
I
you go
don't
get
think
Arch
they do that.
Manning.
I
You go get
think,
I
Arch Manning,
yeah,
baby.
I think you kind of have to put it off until next year because I know this year was supposed to be a pretty heavy QB class, and then obviously the season didn't play out that way for a lot of our college prospects coming into this year. But I mean, next year is supposed to be a very well-rounded QB class. So I mean, Stafford's already said that he's coming back for another year. I think it's a worry about it later type of situation.
I say you package both first round picks and you go get somebody that is head and shoulders above anybody in this draft class.
And I feel like that's pretty easy to do.
I mean, at corner, it's kind of hard to do because it's like a corner and tackle. Those are valuable positions where if you've got a franchise one, it's kind of hard to give it up. The Jets did it because they were absolute trash. and had no other options really. I mean, if they're like selling out, they decided to sell out, which is what you should do in that situation. But it's hard to come by a
Now,
team that's just willing to give it all up.
I'm not going to say that this player is worth, 2 first-round picks, but you got a pretty dog shit team in the Browns picking relatively high in the draft class. They also own the Jags pick this year in this draft. What's to say the Rams don't call up Cleveland and say, hey, we'll give you Atlanta's first round pick this year for Denzel Ward? I mean, that
Yeah,
gives Cleveland more ammo to plug their holes that they have. I mean, I think it's doable if you're the Rams that you can package one or both picks to.
Denzel Ward might be the guy that fits the scenario where he's on a bad enough team and he's kind of to that age where you're okay with letting him go. I could
I
see a
feel
guy
like they
like
could
Denzel
attach
Ward.
like, a late round pick along with Denzel Ward, and that would be worth the 7 pick in this year's draft. Like maybe like a sixth or a fifth rounder or something along those lines.
Guys that are projected market value the highest. Do you guys think Daniel Jones is getting 43 million? And do you think it's going to be with the Colts, or would anybody else give him that money after his injury?
I think
No,
if there's a
short
team
answer.
that is going to, it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts.
See, the weird thing about it is that the Colts have seen how good they were with Daniel Jones. Do you take the risk and pay him all that money to potentially come back and not be anywhere as good as he was before he got hurt? I think it might be a risk that the Colts are kind of going to have to take because what are your other options?
Philip Rivers.
Riley Leonard.
See, I because you're entitled, you have no reason to lose games next year because you don't own your pick.
I
Yeah, I
mean, you would
mean,
hope that Richardson could play at least 1 year of his rookie deal and look somewhat capable of playing the position, considering you picked him top five.
no, I think Anthony Richardson is a failed experiment in Indianapolis, and to
That
be
would be
honest,
like the biggest bust of all time if he never gets any sort of opportunity again. Because at
Jamarcus
least
went one.
Jamarcus got to play, man. Jamarcus played like he was just bad,
I
but like
mean,
he got to play. I mean, he
Jamarcus
didn't
wasn't
last
tapping
long at
himself out of the
all.
game.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. So AR would be like the biggest failure, the biggest bust in at least modern NFL
I mean, they could
draft
try to
history.
trade him along with some other, picks or something to a QB desperate team. Um,
I think somebody could fix him. That's what I'm trying to say, really. I think a KOC or a McVay got their hands on a guy like Richardson. They might not teach him perfect accuracy, but they'll teach him how to make reads
there's a
and throw to the
legendary
open
QB
read.
developer out in Pittsburgh this year, I hear.
Yep.
There
That's what
is,
we
man.
hired him for.
And the team has a history of big old quarterbacks with big old arms. So maybe. But what do you think about George Pickens? Projected to get 30 mil. He'll probably get pretty close to that. Will it be with Dallas? Will it be somewhere else? CD has said he will be back in Dallas, and he's willing to possibly restructure his deal if that's what it takes to get Pickens paid.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to tag him if not. I think no matter
Yeah,
what, Pickens ends up back.
I think regardless, yeah, this if he doesn't resign, he's going to be in Dallas for next season. Unless he tries to, if he is tagged, tries to force Dallas to trade him, which I mean, even then wouldn't be bad for Dallas because at least you're still getting something out of him. But I do think he's back in Dallas next season.
Speaking of Dallas, they've got a running back in Dallas who I believe is set to be a free agent this offseason, who had himself a pretty decent breakout year. Um, I see Javonte Williams leaving Dallas.
Yeah, he probably is.
And
They
I
just if
think
they're
there's
gonna
another team in
pay,
Texas for him.
yeah, if we draft one like top 3 rounds, I'd be okay with signing a guy like Javante. But we can't just keep signing like older guys for the Texans running back, man. We haven't had a franchise running back since Arian Foster. Last consistently serviceable one was probably Lamar Miller. It's just we need somebody on a rookie deal, man. But Trey Hendrickson is definitely gonna leave the Bengals.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell that he's
I don't
back.
I don't think he's coming back. I mean, there's nothing they can do to keep him there this time. He
I,
is 31 years old, so he will probably not be getting a mega bag, but he is going to get signed somewhere.
the team I like the most for him is Detroit. I think if you line him up opposite of Hutchinson, I think this is already a top defensive line, or at least edge duo in the league.
Yeah, I think they could probably get him like for a cheaper deal than a lot of teams too. Julian, I wanted to ask you about Dafe Owe and Khalil Mack being free agents, both projected. If you re-signed both of them, it'd be a projected what is that, 30, 37 million?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a Chargers fan, it was kind of hard not to be impressed with OA this season. Joined the team late after the trade at the beginning of the season. And pretty much fit right into the defense. We've got a new defensive coordinator going into next year, obviously, with Mentor getting hired off the Baltimore. There is some concern he could follow Minter back to Baltimore, but the players from what I've read seem pretty convinced that he's pretty keen to stay in LA, and I know ownership was impressed with what they saw from what they've said in interview. Harbaugh loves the guy, and I think they're going to look to extend him, get him back for what will probably be a 3-year contract, which I think is a fair deal. And I think he's still young, he's an edge rusher, so got a lot more year time on him than a lot of other positions, especially if you're performing at the top. Kind of hard to start regressing. As far as K-Mac goes, I would love nothing more than to see him come back and potentially see him retire as a Charger. He's one of my favorite defensive players, of all time. And I've loved getting to watch him on the Chargers. I don't know what his contract is going to be, and that's a big question because Chargers are one of the highest cap room teams in the NFL this offseason. So we certainly have the room to bring them both back. I hope we do. I just don't know what that K-Mac deal is going to look like. Or haven't gotten a whole lot of indication on what his intentions are as far as the team goes. You know, just got to wait and see as far as he goes, but certainly would not mind bringing them both back in this situation.
Yeah, the Chargers are tied 8th in overall offseason ranking assets. So pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I think they need to bring back at least one of them, preferably probably Owe, but I don't know. I think you just let it kind of reset after Minter leaves. It would probably take a year before they look like getting to a lead again, but
Yeah, I would agree. Um, I think whenever you bring in, a coordinator, and have to bring in what will probably be a pretty different defense. I mean, our hire is off of, he was off of staff last year, so I think honestly it won't be too different, too much of a change. But on the Steelers end of ball, got some interesting offseason moves. Aaron Rodgers up in the air. I know Keegan, you probably are, not wanting to see him come back. Any thoughts as far as the Steelers offense goes or offseason goes?
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers was serviceable this year. I wouldn't say he was, you know, top. 12 or even 15 quarterback. I think he went out there, did what he had to do. We won games, we lost games. He did not elevate this team how I think a quarterback can elevate teams. He's 42 years old, man. I mean, he's got the ties to Mike McCarthy. I get it. He does not need to be back in a Steelers uniform next year.
Yeah, I think most people are saying it's time to put him down, you know. But I don't
I
know.
don't
Let
know
him
if they're
go
Guy's
saying
enjoy
got a
that.
his
lot of pride.
Percocets, man.
You can't keep taking the perks, man. It's got to stop at some point.
And then a little bit more. There's really only a handful of free agents that I absolutely would like back. I think my biggest one, Asante Samuel Jr., man. He was out all of what last season, sat out or was out for majority of this season too. I think on this team especially, he would be the perfect cornerback too behind Joey Porter Jr. And then in the same vein, James Pierre would not be a bad slot or CB3 on this team either. If you look at the Steelers cornerback room, it is bad. Like probably bottom of the league bad. So if you could re-sign those two corners, it's already a better position than I mean your league average at that point, which still isn't great, but fuck, it's better than the alternative. And then Suamalu, he's a good guard, 32 years old. I think we can find either in the draft or through free agency somebody who's a little bit younger. That's another thing with the Steelers team. It's also one of the oldest uh, teams in the league. And I know Rodgers was juicing that number being 42 this year, but I mean, we got Big Cam Hayward. He's not getting any younger. I mean, that's going to be another thing for the Steelers team this offseason season with Mike McCarthy just trying to get younger at any position on this team. Uh, Calvin Austin, he's an interesting one. I mean, we got DK. That's all you can really say about this receiver room. I mean, we have Fryermuth, who's a good receiving tight end. Besides those two, you got Roman Wilson.
Yeah,
I
you need
mean,
like a Makai Lemon to fall a little bit, or
I'm with the amount of picks we have in this draft and Mike Tomlin not being here, I would love to see a trade up for maybe a Carnell Tate who falls a little bit. If Makai Lemon falls a little bit, Jordan Tyson, I'm kind of iffy about because of the injuries and stuff. But I mean,
he's kind of like a slow paced guy anyway. I think he'll be all right.
if we could trade, if we have the ability to trade up for a receiver, that's this team's biggest need by a very long shot. And then right behind it, I would say is anywhere in the secondary, corner, safety. We need it all. But as far as free agents,
Not a whole lot
yeah, I'm really
as
just
far as
looking
receivers go.
at the two of our corners
I mean,
that are free agents.
Romeo. Oh, you're talking about Steelers free agents?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like to bring back.
As far as receiver free agents go, it's not the worst I've seen it. But it's not a super deep free agency class as far as receivers go. You got Mike Evans. Hard to imagine him going anywhere but back to the Bucks. On probably what'll be a 1 to 2 year deal. Who knows? Um, you've got Captain Kirk. I can't imagine Houston re-signing him. Is there any word on the street on that, Cam?
The preliminary hearings are suggesting that his job will be gone if Tank is deemed healthy going into the off
Right.
season, or at least on track
So,
to
I mean,
participate in the off season programs.
Well, I mean, even if so, I mean, good receiver, not gonna make or break your team. Debo, kind of hard to say what's gonna go on with Debo this year. It was such a weird year for him in Washington. Just a weird year in Washington overall. Not just him, but um, you know, just in general. So, uh, and then the same goes. You can go down the list of all of the different receivers. One that I do find interesting is Wandale Robinson.
I was gonna,
Um,
I was
Kind of
gonna
a
bring him up.
sleeper receiver. My thoughts on that is he's going to Tennessee.
Guy's so small, man. Guy's
But
just
see,
so
I think he's
small.
like the I don't think he's by any means a wide receiver one. I mean, if he goes to Tennessee and they don't do anything, it's him and Ridley fighting for wide receiver one.
Yeah,
But
I
I
mean he's
think
better
he's
than Tyler Lockett, so
I
that's
mean,
a
they've
good.
got Chimere DK, so
I mean, he's a returner, man.
I think Wandale Robinson is a great wide receiver too. I think
Great,
I
yeah,
mean
I'd agree.
serviceable.
I think no, I think as a wide receiver two option, I think that he's definitely one of the better wide receiver twos in the league.
I don't know, guys.
I'm just a
It's
hater.
kind of. I mean, he hasn't had great quarterback play, and he didn't in college either. I believe he had a little Will Levis action towards
He
the
did
end.
have 1,000 yards this season.
Yeah, I mean Malik was hurt the whole season, and name me three other receivers that played this year for the Giants. Gun to the back of your head, you couldn't.
Gunnar Oshevsky.
Gunnar Olszewski.
The
They still
sleeves
got.
still play there.
I
Yeah,
was about to. That's what I was going to
Slayton.
bring up.
Uh, you know,
Yeah,
uh,
and
I mean,
after
Theo Johnson
Scatabo went out,
is
we
a
stopped watching.
receiver. He receives the ball every now and again. You know,
Man, we were really robbed of that trio this year with Dart, Scatabo, and
Malik,
Malik.
yeah, that would have been a sight. Other notable free agents are Tyler Lindenbaum.
that's a
Um,
Charger.
I think he's going back to Baltimore, man.
Kelsey is a free agent, but I mean, probably gonna resign. Braden
That's a
Smith from the
retiree.
Colts. I like him. Tackle. Joey Bosa is a free agent, and Joku is a free agent. DJ Reader, he can come
I
on
could see
home, man. It
Bosa
might be
being a
time for him to
Bengal
come home.
if Hendrickson leaves.
Dallas Goddard is a free agent. Some guys. Kyle Pitts, number 84 tight end from Florida.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah, that is
His
true.
projected cap or his projected salary is 10 million. So
That's really not that bad.
not too expensive. You'd be buying low on the potential of Kyle Pitts. He's only 25.3 years old. So
He could be a Houston Texan, couldn't he, Cam?
it could be. We don't have many tight ends at all heading into next year that are healthy or will be healthy.
Could
What are
be a
you
49er.
What are you looking at for your Texans? Who do you think they should bring back, and who do you think they should go after?
Bring back a lot of the guys we have leaving are like over 30. So honestly, they like Christian Kirk can walk. Jimmy Ward obviously is not playing football again. Autry is good, but he's gonna be 36, and really is only like super effective on field goal blocks. Sheldon Rankins should probably come back for like a year, even though he's old. Like most of these guys can leave. I'm cool with like if we can re-sign Ed Ingram, that'd be cool. But his salary this year was like 2 million, and it's gonna jump projected to 13. And he was pretty good, but I don't know if he's like that good to just bet on one good season and
Hmm.
pay him. Christian Harris was a Texans legend, but he didn't play much last year at all either. So I mean, if we could get a decent deal done with Ed Ingram, and then that's and then get Sheldon Rankins back on like a 1 year, everybody else can walk, man. The Nick Chubb thing can be over. Um, Braxton Berrios can go find a new home, man. He'll probably be on a reality TV show after his career. And then as far as bringing people in, I mean, you would hope that we would spend on O line at this point after like trying to draft our way out of it has just not worked like as fast as we need it to. But I can tell you right now, we don't have the cap space to sign a guy like Lindenbaum. We don't have the cap space to go get even like a Braden Smith. But I did see that Elijah Vera Tucker is a free agent, and he has had 3 straight seasons of season-ending injuries. So we could buy low on a guy like that. If we could buy low on a guy like that and re-sign Ed Ingram, and then use our draft pick, like our high draft capital, on a tackle opposite of Ursary, that would probably be the quickest way to fix the O line. But realistically, we'll probably like re-sign Ingram, spend our money on the D line, and then draft like a guard or something pretty high. If we can fix the O line up, get some real talent there, and get a running back, then I'm cool with doing like nothing else because this team was held back by pretty much those two things alone. Defense was generational. Better than this defense they're calling the dark side. All right, don't let the recency bias confuse you. The Houston Texans would have been in that game if the offense was above average.
If
Second year of Nick
CJ
Cayley.
was above
Well, listen, Nick Cayley he'll be more comfortable as a play caller next year. Fix the lineup, give CJ a running game. Get him his boy Tank back. It's the rookie receiver's second year, so they can get more playing time. And I think it will all start to come into form. I think our window is still open a couple more years. We just gotta get there, man.
So the Titans are projected, at least what I'm looking at, are projected to have the most cap space going into this offseason. We already
Uh,
touched on receiver with Wando. What else should they be looking to add to their team?
the problem with a team like the Titans is they're going to have to spend more money on every signing to convince them to come play in Tennessee. Um, so while they have the most cap space, I feel like it's, you know, a lot of it's going to go to just trying to attract people to come. Salah and Dayball will hopefully kind of help with that. But in terms of targets for them, I mean, anybody on defense, you're looking at people like, um, I mean, realistically, I'm, I'm looking at all of these free agents on the defensive side, and it's all people 34 and older. John Franklin Myers from Denver wouldn't be terrible. Uh, Played a good season.
I mean, I could see them trying to go after Trey Hendrickson, kind of beef up their defensive line because outside of Jeffrey Simmons, you really don't have anything on your defensive line. So I could see them trying to go after him, but I mean, this free agency class really isn't a good time to have a whole bunch of money in cap space.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of like hole fillers like Ethan Pokich from Cleveland, for the offensive line to kind of help that up. He's been decent, hasn't been fantastic throughout his career, but a serviceable center. Evan Neal is a free agent this offseason. He's young, hasn't had a whole lot of success. I feel like that's kind of been the recipe for the Titans the last couple of years is finding players who haven't had incredible success on the team that drafted them, and then paying them to be starters on their team. So I could see Evan Neal fitting right in on that Tennessee team. Um,
As a Texans fan that watches my team own the Titans twice a year, they're actually pretty good in like the important areas. Like the D line could get some like edge rush help, but like overall they perform pretty well. The O line isn't like super flashy, but they've like drafted pretty well there. Um, and Cam Ward I think is going to be really good. So like their main problem is just like skill position guys, like corners and like even receivers and the obvious just like guys that you need on your team to make plays. And I think those are guys that are easy to like just give them a bag and convince them to come play. Like there's guys that are gonna have like their deal breakers no matter what. Like I'm not gonna go play in that bum ass city. Like for the most part, it's such a crowded market, like for receivers and corners that like if you can get your bag somewhere, it doesn't really matter where it's at.
Hey man,
We've
what
seen
if
that a
their
lot
jerseys
before.
are really cool and people want to go play for them because of their jerseys?
I mean, they can do that. I wouldn't do that, but um, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think their jerseys are going to be pretty mid. That's my
Yeah,
hottest take.
it's going to be an interesting offseason with free agency
ooh.
because, like, like I keep saying, there's just really, I wouldn't say there's really a crown jewel in this year's free agency class.
You know what is scary though? The Rams are ranked fourth in offseason assets. They have the seventh most cap space right now, and they have the fourth best draft capital. And if you look at their expiring contracts, it's like not guys that would break your team if they left either. So
And
it's and like the
definitely guys that you
highest,
could easily re-sign.
yeah, the highest salary, like expected salary guy is Cam Curl at 10 mil. Which I mean, you probably want Cam Curl back because he's a pretty good player, but like 10 mil, that's not breaking the bank. And the rest of these guys are like 6 mil or below.
And like I was saying earlier, with them owning two first round picks this year, if they really want to try and make a run for their Super Bowl window, they have every opportunity to make the moves to do that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like their assets might be so insane that they might be able to make like the signings to make that happen while drafting like so much top end and even like project talent
Yeah.
that like they, this like ending window of the Stafford era might set them up for the next dynasty that
Yeah.
we see.
I mean, depending on the signings that they make, they could just trade back in the draft and keep it going. Almost like an OKC sort of situation where it's like, your team is good enough to where you can start trading away or letting go some of your, better assets and everything, and then you just kind of build up a stock of future, good picks in, what is potentially an upcoming good run of draft classes here in the next few years, especially with their star quarterback, retiring here next year, and just keep building off of that year to year and keep trading back. Definitely a good position to be in as far as that goes. I think that the Rams, like you mentioned, are probably in the best position all around to keep making a run at it over these next few years.
Yeah. And the number one in this ranking I've been referring to so often is the Jets, which I did say is the worst team. So it makes sense, but they have the third most cap space after trading obviously their two best players, and then they have the best draft capital from the Colts. Trade and their team needs are
everything.
arguably the most important positions in football: quarterback, cornerback, receiver, D line, and inner offensive line.
Potentially running back if Brees Hall leaves, which
And
he should.
there's no way, unless they pay him a mega bag that they didn't even pay to Le'Veon Bell back in the day, then
So
that's the only way I can see it happen.
it's a good position to be in if you're the Jets because you have so many assets, but like we've said multiple times over the course of the last hour and a half almost, um, it's not a fantastic draft. It's not a fantastic free agency class. So the Jets finally blow everything up, and have all the right pieces or all of the right materials to pick the right pieces at exactly the wrong time, it seems. So I mean, there's definitely some gems in this draft class. Don't get me wrong, and I think if they're careful, they can definitely play it right. But in my opinion, it would probably be in the Jets' best interest to take two of their first rounders and probably trade back to next year, and just try to put together something serviceable for next year. Um, you know, uh, I don't think Aaron Glenn maybe makes it another season if it's another bottom of the barrel season. So in his mind, he's probably thinking spend all the draft picks now. But I
See,
think
that's terrible.
if
That,
Dayball taught us anything last year, it's you can't just blow all of your draft picks and expect it to save your job.
I just think it's scary how the guy that you saw failing with talent early on, and then you traded it all, is going to be the guy that's like halfway in charge of what you're about to do with all these assets. Like, what if he does just fail again and then you want to fire him after this year? And then now you got to bring in, like, you're still going to have that other Colts pick, but it's like now you have to bring in a new head coach who maybe doesn't even like all these assets that the last head coach just brought in. So they could be messy. I think one team we haven't talked about much, but probably deserves a little bit more like off-season hype is the Commanders because they're in a pretty good spot in the ranking, and also like Jaden will finally be back fully healthy, and I don't know, man. They're a pretty good team before, and they're really old, so they'll have a lot of money opening up from the old guys leaving. They can pick like the impactful ones to come back. Let's let the rest of them walk. I think they'll be pretty decent.
The biggest thing with the Commanders, their fate, if you will, Jaden has got to stop taking some of these hits, man. He's got to be smarter. He's got to stay healthy. If he's not, we've seen how it goes. This team just cannot competently function if Jaden is not on the field.
And his
That's not
elbows got to
great.
stop doing that pokey outy thing too.
Yeah, that wasn't great to watch.
It's the same problem that the Giants now face this year. I mean, they've got a fantastic young quarterback prospect whose first instinct is to run the ball, which in today's football is not a bad thing. I think Lamar has shown us that can be, Lamar and Josh Allen for that matter,
And Justin
have
Fields.
Justin Field. Well, uh, the run first quarterback can be a successful part of your team, leader to your team, and you can build around that. But you've also got to play it smart. I think neither of Dart or Daniels, from what we've seen in either of their very short careers so far, has shown that they've really learned to do so. Hopefully, with the injuries sustained for Daniels this year, he kind of learns from that and focuses a lot on watching tape on other mobile quarterbacks and how to keep himself healthy. Don't watch Tua tape. That's pretty much unless you're looking for what not to do. Um, but you know,
And
Well,
one more team to talk about real quick. The Buffalo Bills had a pretty wide open, I would say a pretty wide open AFC path to a Super Bowl. Lost to Denver in Denver. in a pretty close game. They
Yeah, we
made
haven't been
the
hating on them like as much as we probably should have been.
they
Like you
made
mentioned.
the interesting choice to fire Sean McDermott and bring in, well, not bring in, promote offensive coordinator Joe Brady to be their head coach.
LSU legend.
He did help LSU in 2020 or 2019 to win the Natty, but I don't think that's going to get them over the hump like they're wanting to.
I
Yeah,
think
no.
if anything, it could be a Cincinnati situation where, in his first or second year as head coach, probably not first, but maybe second, third year as head coach, the Bills do make it to the Super Bowl. But I don't see them pulling it off and winning that game. And then, we're caught in a Zach Taylor situation in Buffalo, where it's hell for the next 8 seasons because he made it to the Super Bowl once. Now they want to keep re-signing the guy type of situation.
Yeah, the Bills should have gotten more hate. Um, they have been too good to be as bad and as lackadaisical in the playoffs as they have been. They've had some good wins in years past, but this was a year where there was really nobody else. Like, and you're used to cold weather, like that's not even really an excuse. I know I said that you can't get used to cold weather in the beginning of this, but
If there's one
they,
team that can,
yeah, they live up there. They live way up there. So at some point, you know, and they just underperformed. And Josh Allen is a guy who most of the time it seems like his archetype is they can put it all on his back and win you a game, but he came up short against competition that was worse than years past. They got to get it together. I was gonna say before you brought up the Bills, I think we have touched on, like at least for a second or two, I think we've touched on every team in the league. Maybe the Panthers. We didn't. I mean, we talked about them a little bit, but
I mean, they scraped by, snuck into the playoffs with a losing record in a weak division. Bryce has still not really shown you what you want to see from a number one pick. It'll be interesting to see how this next season goes for them. They have, this says $14 million in cap. You pick at 19 in the draft, you're kind of just stuck in the middle in terms of your assets that you do have. But I mean, if Dave Canales brought him to the playoffs this past season, who knows what he can do this next season?
I don't
yeah,
necessarily know that he brought them to the playoffs. I mean, like
I
you said, they got into the
who
playoffs
would
with a
you
losing
say?
record, and really, them making it into the playoffs wasn't even on them because they lost the game that would have sent them to the playoffs. It
I
was
mean,
up
either
to,
way, it out of everything that could have happened, the only thing that could mathematically happen is the Panthers going.
The only bright spot, in my opinion, for Carolina this year was that you got a stud in Tedero McMillan. That that is it. I mean, now you did almost upset the Rams in round one, like we said at the start of this, but I just don't know if they can make the moves needed to, push them further in this pretty stacked NFC division.
yeah. Um, I mean, it the NFC South has been in a blender for the last 20 years for the most part. Um, eh, Time will tell with the Panthers. Like Cam was saying before, I think at some point or another we've pretty much almost touched on every team, at least teams that have an impact one way or the other as far as the draft or free agency goes. One that we haven't really got into, but I think we could spend an entire or at least a good section of our next episode, is the Kansas City Chiefs and their future, and what their future holds for the rest of the league in general. But interesting season behind them. What will be probably an even more interesting season ahead of them, as far as next year goes.
Yeah, we
This
also didn't talk too much about the Packers. I think they were just injured. They're talented with a good coach.
yeah,
They'll be back.
if like Micah stayed healthy at the end of the season, there's really no telling what their season could have been.
Yeah,
But do you guys have anything else? We got anything else? I think next time we'll probably get into more draft specific things. Talk about some college prospects. Talk about the upcoming combines and testings and what that means for where people go.
Maybe a
Probably talk
little
about some more situations like Julian said with the Chiefs and maybe some other teams that have more crushing problems.
maybe a little mock draft.
A little mock
Something like that.
draft action. Get closer to the draft, things start to get a little bit more realistic.
but yeah, I think as far as first episodes go, that was it was a good one. A lot of good discussion there. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening along, and if you made it all the way to the end, we greatly appreciate it. And hope to hear you guys return. See you guys in the next episode.
Later.
Peace out.